friend. Welcome to Romans Day 4. We have another practical lesson from Paul today. Let's just dig right in, shall we? We are beginning Romans 13, verse 11. Besides this, you know the time, that the hour has come for you to wake from sleep. For salvation is nearer to us now than when we first believed. The night is far gone, the day is at hand. So then, let us cast off the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. Let us walk properly as in the daytime, not in orgies and drunkenness, not in sexual immorality and sensuality, not in quarreling and jealousy. But put on the Lord Jesus Christ and make no provision for the flesh to gratify its desires. All right, friend, what did you observe today? How did you begin this study? I began with the very first two words of the passage. Besides this, this was just that little reminder to remember the context of where we are, to think about, okay, where was Paul yesterday? What did I learn yesterday? And we saw his imperative command to owe no one anything. Don't be in debt. But then beyond that, the message really was about love. Love, love, love. Love others as yourself. Love your neighbor. So he's kind of changing gears a little bit now. And he points out what? He points out the time. Now, I did look up time in my keyword dictionary and recognize that this time is an occasion. It is an event. It's referencing a particular event. What event is Paul referencing here? Well, he makes abundantly clear. It's the hour. It is the hour for salvation. So we need to understand that for Paul, when he uses the word salvation, he oftentimes is speaking to Christ's return. He's speaking to a particular event when Christ will return and we will enjoy the redemption of our bodies. And that's exactly the definition of this salvation word. It is an event that Paul is looking forward to. It's the consummation, really, of Christ's salvation. When he's going to come back and we're going to have brand new bodies. I love this about Paul. Anybody living in a broken body should love this. Here is living hope. We won't always be in a broken body. We won't always be tethered to bodies of sin and death, bodies that are dying, but we will have redemption of this through Jesus Christ. All right, so Paul is very much reminding the believers in Rome of this hour, of this day when Christ is going to return. Salvation is nearer to us now than when we first believed. I love that. And he goes on to say, the night is far gone, the day is at hand. So we have Paul referencing or using a lot of words for time, right? Time, hour, day, night, near. A lot of references to time. So he goes on to say, so then what? Let's get on it. Let's get on it. Let's live rightly. Let's walk properly with decorum, with rightness. And he kind of gives a list of commands here. I made a list, a short list, really 5 things. Cast off the works of darkness, put on the armor of light. Let's walk, let's live properly, which means decorously, basically rightly, according to, let's live like Christ, right? put on Jesus. I love that. Verse 14, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ. And number 5, make no provision for the flesh or gratifying the desires of the flesh. So we see Paul utilizing the terms day and night to reference time, but we also see him using darkness and light in reference to 2 different realms. So in my study today, I also contrasted those 2 realms of darkness versus light. What does Paul say we have in the darkness? Oh, and of darkness here's another word that I looked up in my keyword, or I put in my keyword column. The definition is evil realm, the sphere dominated by evil, sinfulness, and ignorance of God and his ways. It's understood as the absence of light. All right, a cross reference is take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. Did I say the reference? That's Ephesians 5:11. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness. And then in John 3:20, Jesus speaks to this as well. For everyone who does wicked things hates the light and does not come into the light, lest his work should be exposed. All right, so that's the darkness. This is the evil realm, and Paul includes a number of things that we find in the darkness: orgies, drunkenness, sexual immorality, sensuality, quarreling, jealousy, fleshly desires. Friends, isn't this the world that we live in? We have such a sex-driven culture, and it has become twisted. Like, sex is such a beautiful thing. It is a gift from God, but it has become twisted, as obviously it was in the first century Rome, that Paul calls out all of these things. And I don't always point to other ministries. I probably should more than I do, but as I was thinking about this morning, I was thinking, wow, we are this is the culture that we're living in, and so many need help to turn their eyes away from the sexual twistedness that is in our culture today, and fix our eyes on Jesus, fix our eyes on the light, live in the light, which we'll talk about what is in the light here in just a moment. But I have a good friend, Julie Slattery. Her ministry is Authentic Intimacy. She speaks to being discipled in an authentic sexual way. She talks all about living in the light, and her latest book is called Her Freedom Journey, and this is specifically for women who are caught up in the world of pornography. I just thought, you know what? That's very practical for where we are. That's very practical for, as Paul ends today's passage, make no provision for the flesh. You know what that word provision means? Provisional thinking. Like, don't even think about gratifying the desires of the flesh. So if you need help in that way, friends, I really recommend that you check out their website and their information. All right, that's the evil realm of darkness. What about light? What about the light? Paul, or the definition of light, is the sphere dominated by righteousness, goodness, and the knowledge of God. This is the righteous realm. This is God's realm. What words does Paul use to describe the realm of the light? Well, we see that there is armor. There's being armored up to walk in the light. Here is proper. Here's where people are walking righteously, living with decorum in a way that suits having this name Christian. This is the daytime. This is most of all the realm of Jesus Christ. This is for those who have put on Jesus Christ. To put on, friends, is to be imparted, to be clothed, to be wrapped. I loved that word, to be wrapped up in Jesus Christ. All right. This involves the realm of the light involves redemption of our bodies, the salvation and redemption of our bodies. And I think I've already said it, righteousness. This is the righteous realm. So this might lead to the question, how? How are we to put on Jesus Christ? Which, again, to put on is to be imparted, to be clothed, to be wrapped up in him. And friends, Paul has already made it abundantly clear. It's to believe. It's to believe. It's to have faith. It is as simple as that. To recognize our neediness. We saw that back in Romans chapter 3, just how poor and needy we are as human beings. To recognize that and say, Lord Jesus, I need you and I believe. I believe. And there's a reference here to baptism. The reference comes from a cross reference for putting on the Lord Jesus Christ. Galatians 3:27, for as many of you were baptized into Christ have put on Christ. All right, so there's a place for baptism here. And then I love this. Here's an Old Testament reference, Job 29:14. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My justice was like a robe and a turban. I love that. Oh, friends, this also made me think about just dressing, being wrapped up, putting on Jesus. I mean, I think this is a practical application as we're dressing every single day. Ought we not to think about being clothed in Jesus, walking with him, not even thinking about gratifying the desires of the flesh? This is so practical today. Oh, may our hearts and our minds be united with the heart and mind of Jesus, that we might walk with him as friend. Oh, friends, in that way, think back to Exodus. Think about Moses. He would meet with the Lord, and the Lord said, I meet with Moses as a friend. And what did we see with Moses? His face just shined with the glory of the Lord. Oh, may God unite our hearts and our minds as we put on, as we wrap up in Jesus Christ, that we might reflect his glory.